back so intense. I feel it again, I feel it again, I feel it again. We're bringing this back to life.
Better off as strangers. Believe me when I say, loving me is loving danger. Your heart is bound to break. I walk alone in the night, beneath the pale moon. Loving's for the fools. Baby, beware of my bite. I'm alone, I'm alone, I'm a lone wolf. 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 I'm a creeping through the shadows and the corners of your mind. I go where the wind blows. I run but I don't hide. I hear the call of the wild, whispering the name. No, I can't be tamed. My heart belongs to the night. I'm alone, I'm alone, I'm a lone wolf. 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 I'm a lone wolf.
Alright guys, sorry about the double audio there. I just realised that, I had the music on. I had it running twice, so interesting. Alright, yeah, technical difficulties. Boomer to the rescue. Alright. Alright, no worries man, no worries. I'm still getting set up here anyway. There is so much to cover today. It is absolutely insane. Unfortunately we have to talk about the yeah. Fortunately, we have to talk about the impeachment because well. So we need to that's what I was after. Alright, so, and we still have more. Oh, we got double episode there. Right, cool. That's one less article we have to read. And there is so much to cover. Holy shit. You guys are getting an idea of what my work is like. So how is everybody anyway? We're all good? Oh, this is a good one. Here you go. This is a really good story. And we want that one. We want that one. That one. That one. Which is actually up there because it's part of that. And that one. And that should be it. Okay. Holy shit. There is so much news to cover. I think I literally crashed my internet just loading web pages. Oh boy. So I'm not sure if you guys can still hear me or see me, but it looks like YouTube might have gone down. Okay, no, okay. It looks like we're back up. Maybe? Okay, no, it looks like we're back up. Alright. Looks like we are up. Looks like. Oh yeah, okay. Alright. Can't hear you. Oh, okay. Really? Should be able to. Okay, yeah, we were having problems with yeah, we were having problems with YouTube, so let me know. Never mind. Okay, cool. No worries. Cool. Alright, so let me go through and tweet this out. Log in and tweet. Tweet. And Gab. And we'll also go through and post it on Facebook. Alright. Sorry about that, guys. There's so much to cover. So, page view manage. Did Eric pull a Megan Kelly? Lol. Yeah. Although he's denying it. So, you know. We're going to try and play the video and, well, you guys tell me what you think. Alright. Alright. Okay. Alright, cool. Nice. So let me just go through and grab my phone very quickly. And a drink. Alright, okay, definitely. Sorry about that, guys. A little disorganised this morning. Give everybody a chance to come in anyway. Because, you know, apparently YouTube doesn't notify anybody about me going live. Imagine my shock. Alright. Close that and we'll post on that. Okay. All right. Let's jump into it. Let's jump into the show, and let's kick it off. All right. All right. So, guys, we might have a bit of a whodunit, and well, we're going to start with the toilet humor because I think we all need to laugh. And the first story of the day, we should be able to at least laugh at it, right? So, did Eric Swalwell just fart on MSNBC? That's a very good question, but let's jump into it. Democrat California Representative Eric Swalwell appears to have passed noticeable gas on live television Monday, despite reportedly denying it was him. The California lawmaker was appearing on MSNBC's Hardball with Chris Matthews Monday evening to discuss the ongoing impeachment inquiry against the President Donald Trump. Unfortunately for Swalwell, he was the only one speaking and obviously paused and observantly paused when viewers heard the noise. Now, I do want to warn you, this is actually real. This is not some video that someone has gone through and has put on a fart noise or anything like that. This is a real noise. This is a real interview. This is completely unedited. You can go to MSNBC's Hardball and you can literally hear the full video there, right? So we know this is a real story. We know this has not been edited. I want to say that because there seems to be a little bit of a case where the media is wanting to go through and they're trying to make excuses for this. They're trying to say that it was someone dragging a coffee cup. So what I want you to do is I want you to listen to the noise. I want you to listen to the interview. And I want you to tell me, do you think that this is a fart noise? Or do you guys think that this is someone dragging a coffee cup over a table, right? Now, I'm not going to... Yeah, if you think it's a coffee cup, just let me know. If you think it's a fart noise, just let me know. Just... Yeah. Just... We'll hear it a couple of times, and you let me know what your thoughts are.
Chris, so far, the evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election. And the complaint that I've heard from Republicans all last week...
Now, that's it there. Right? So, let's go back and let's listen to this again.
Chris, so far, the evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election. And the complaint that I've heard from Republicans all last...
Right, one more time, because I want you guys to be able to make sure, and I presume you can hear this in chat, I presume you can... They're going to edit it out, maybe. But, right, so let me know, right? Do you think that this is a... Right, let's play it one more time.
Chris, so far, the evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election. And the complaint...
What do you guys think of that? To me, that sounds like someone passing gas on TV. Now, at the end of the day, do I think this is a big deal? No, I don't give two shits. To be honest, I would have loved him to come out, turn around and say, yeah, it was me. I farted on MSNBC. Make a joke of it, you know. Trump makes me gassy. Whatever it may be, right? But they don't do that. They didn't do that. What they did was they went through and it's either him or the cameraman. Could be the cameraman, actually. That's a good point. Right? But they went through and they're making it out that someone's dragging a coffee cup. Now, I have a drink right here. Right? Right here in my hands. Right? This is a drink. Now, if I want to drag this drink, sounds like that. Right? I'll do it again. That's me dragging it, okay? Yeah, I'll clear the desk so there's no grind or... that's me dragging the coffee cup. Now, I don't know why anybody would be dragging the coffee cup, to be honest. If you're moving, you generally lift it up and put it down. I've been drinking coffee 40 years, never heard that before. No, neither have I. I don't think it was the coffee cup. Now, the interesting thing is that he pauses right as it happens.
Chris, so far, the evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election. And
he not only pauses at that time, but he sort of raises a little bit. Right now, I know we're going to do a segment on this guy farting. But the reason why this is important, right? It isn't that he's farted. I couldn't give two shits if he farted, right? I really couldn't care. To me, what is more concerning is about them lying about it and then trying to make an excuse if that's the case. Right? If this is the Democratic Party at the moment, where you can't even fart on TV without being embarrassed, without being, oh no, that you need to remove the stick from your butt, right? You need to go through and you need to have a decent look at Mr. Killjoy here. Because, it's not like I said, make a joke of it, right? Turn around and say something like, for example, yep, you're right, we're talking about Trump. He makes me gassy, just even thinking about him. I just had to let one rip. Everybody would have laughed. You would have got a knock against the president, which, obviously the Dems live for, and no one really would have given two shits. Some people might have gone on about, oh yeah, he keep farting on TV. Might have done that, right? But no one really would have given two shits if you farted on TV. But instead, no, they don't want to do that. Instead, they want to go through and they want to lie about it. To me, that's what I say. The biggest thing about this is the fact that he's lying. To me, he's lying. Okay, some people might want to believe the coffee cup thing. Once again, the noise of dragging a coffee cup across the table, right? Doesn't sound like a fart noise to me. But hey, maybe different surfaces have different noises. I don't know. But at the end of the day, if he did pass gas, and he is lying about it, that's what bugs me the most. That's what I'm more concerned about, is that something as minuscule as these guys farting on national TV. I've farted on live streams. There are people in this channel and in Nonpartisan Media's channel that will be able to testify that I've let one rip when I'm on live stream, and I got called out for it. I think it was one of the guys, I can't remember who it was, called out and said, "Did you just fart?" And I said, "Yep, I did." And we laughed about it, and that was it. That's all that happened. Like, obviously, bigger audience for, satellite cable TV than me. We're all human. Exactly, we're all human. Everybody farts. But at the end of the day, I just... The thing that bugs me isn't the farting. The thing that bugs me is, in my opinion, he is lying about this. That's what bugs me the most. And to be honest, a lot of people aren't believing him. So Swallow's apparent antics put him in a rare company, at least when it comes to lawmakers allegedly fighting live on MSNBC. In 2011, former Democratic Massachusetts representative Barry Frank was the club's first known member. Swallow denies it was him. According to BuzzFeed, Andy Bursch, he said it was definitely not him, and that he did not hear it. So, Maybe the cameraman, maybe? But look, at the end of the day, I really think someone has farted. I really do. And like I say, the thing about it is, it's not that he farted. The thing, I couldn't give two shits. I couldn't give two farts about him farting, right? The thing is that he's trying to lie about it. Or someone is lying about it, right? People are trying to claim it's a coffee cup dragging over the desk. If it was the cameraman, say it was the cameraman. Who really cares? Right? But yeah, obviously, seriously, such wind was broken alive on MMC on night, the eve of the Democrats' next round impeachment hearings on Tuesday, where a Democrat congressman helped the lead for the charge of impeachment was being interviewed by the network host. In that God, he's contributing to global warming. That's a very good point. Maybe that's why they don't want to go through and admit it. Lol, it's like Nixon. It wasn't the crime, it was the cover-up. Exactly right. Who cares if you fart on TV? Right? No one gives two shits. It's the covering up that bugs me about it the most. Wait till AOC gets whiff of this. Oh boy. Oh boy. But yeah, at the end of the day, and that's the thing, like, who cares if you fart? Who really cares? No one. But yeah, it's the covering it up, the lying part that really does bug me about it. But I don't know, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are in this. I think someone has farted. Look, if it's not him, and it was the cameraman, like Def1 has suggested, that's a good suggestion. Maybe that. But at the end of the day, yeah, I would say that, yeah, someone has there's no way it is someone dragging a coffee mug across the desk, okay? Let's not think that, right? Because that's just a load of crap. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Alright, so. Oh boy, we're going to talk about Jeffrey Epstein. Alright guys, so we're going to talk about Jeffrey Epstein here. So, welcome to Demonetized-ville. But yeah, the FBI investigates a criminal enterprise in Jeffrey Epstein's death. Prison chief admits us males and female guards are indicated for browsing the internet for 8 hours instead of checking on the pedophile and lying on inspection forms on the night he died. So it appears my coffee mug's always been moved around. Always been removed. Yes, but does it make those sort of noises? That's what we need to know, right? Does it make those sort of fart noises? Because I don't believe it. I really don't. To me, I think it's just him. Someone's letting it rip on national radio or national TV, and they seem to care more about their image than they do about obviously going through and yeah. But anyway. But let's talk about Jeffrey Epstein. So it appears that instead of going through and checking on the night of Jeffrey Epstein's death, the prison guards were supposedly looking up porn. Or browsing the internet. Whatever that may mean. To me that means porn. But anyway. Hey, look, at the end of the day, I'm not going to go vilifying anybody for watching. There was the graffiti mug. Oh boy. I'm not going to browse. I'm not going to drag anybody for looking up porn. Or doing it at work, But browsing the internet for 8 hours. Okay, so maybe it wasn't porn. Maybe it was Facebook. Maybe it was Twitter. But I do find it really, really interesting that after all these questions keep coming out about Jeffrey Epstein, how did he die? How did he die? How did he die? A month later, a month and a half later, who cares about Jeffrey Epstein? I won't know who's farted. Like a month later, a month and a half later, now we're hearing about these guys, these guards, that were browsing the internet for 8 hours straight. To be honest, I don't know if I believe this story. I don't know. I'll believe. It just It seems like it's an easy way out. It seems like they're going through and they're chucking the guards under the bus. Look, I'm not saying the guards are innocent on all this, right? But people should not be on the computer at work. That is true. I agree with that. That is probably a good point, right? I'll be back when we get back to the fighting. Okay. But like I say, yeah, at the end of the day, as for Epstein, look, yeah, you're right. They probably shouldn't be on surfing the internet, for example, right? But at the end of the day, I don't know. This seems like they're just chucking the guards under the bus. This seems like a lot of people are asking questions regarding Jeffrey Epstein's death, and all of a sudden now it's like we need an excuse. We need to know. We need a reason. We need a reason why these guards weren't doing their job. That's it. They were looking up internet. They were searching the internet. It's just they're going to do everything they can to sweep this away. True. I really do think they will. They have a bit of a fight on their hands, though. But obviously, criminal charges expected against 2 of Jeffrey Epstein's prison guards. Criminal charges could be filed early as Tuesday against 2 of the correctional officers who were charged with guarding convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein at the time of his death. According to the report published Monday by the Associated Press, 2 sources confirmed that 2 of the guards on duty on the night of Epstein's death are likely being charged with falsifying the prison records indicating they had performed all their scheduled welfare checks on the prisoner. The charges are expected to... Like I said, this just seems like they're throwing them under the bus. Criminal charges expected... is that the same story? Different... Oh, Daily Caller, yeah, okay. And Breitbart's talking about it as well. But, you know, it's not all about these prison guards either. We have this as well. Jane Doe, 15, sues Jeffrey Epstein's estate, alleging sexual assault. Wow, she's really pretty there. I'm presuming she's above age. If she's not, I retract that statement. Another woman has come forward alleging that she was sexually assaulted as a teenager by now deceased pedophile Jeffrey Epstein and called on Britain's Prince Andrew to cooperate with the federal authorities regarding his former friend's alleged crimes. The New York City lawsuit filed Monday, the unnamed 31-year-old woman alleges Epstein, raped her while she was 15 years old, and later said that in a press conference that it was preposterous to suggest the disgraced fiancé's friends were unaware of many of his wrongdoings. Epstein was arrested in June 6, 2019 on child trafficking charges and was found dead in his New York City cell on August the 10th. Right? Now, Epstein was only a small part of this insidious system of privilege that exploits children as sexual commodities and robs them of their youth, the woman told reporters, while flanked by her attorney, Goya Allred. Wire photos reveal that she was wearing bracelets that spelled out the phrase, Epstein didn't kill himself. And Abby... oh, that meme's never going to die. An ambiguous meme questioning the official autopsy of the late convict. The medical examiner in this case, ruled the death as suicide, but his brother Mark Epstein has said he believes he did not kill himself, which no one really does. Right? Let's face facts. No one really believes that Epstein killed himself. Now, obviously, at the end of the day, Prince Andrew is in a lot of trouble at the moment because he decided to go through on BBC and do an interview. I'm not going to play the whole thing here because, well, BBC has a habit of obviously claiming videos and stuff like that. But here is the video here. Let's go through and play some of this for you. Just so you get an idea of what we're talking about.
fallout growing from that interview with Prince Andrew, answering questions for the first time about his friendship with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
So obviously this is
Pilgrim
not
has
the
that story for us.
BBC.
Good morning, Ethe.
but
Good morning, Robin. This whole thing is highly unusual. It's rare you see interviews with the royal family in any circumstance, let alone on something like this. And this interview sparking an immediate firestorm. One UK paper calling the prince entitled and obtuse.
Backlash this morning. Prince Andrew speaking publicly for the first time about his relationship with now deceased multimillionaire and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
Do I regret the fact that he has quite obviously conducted himself in a manner unbecoming? Yes.
Unbecoming? He was a sex offender.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm being polite in the sense that he was a sex offender. But no. Was I right in having him as a friend at the time? And bearing in mind this was some years before he was accused of being a sex offender.
I don't believe that. I'm sorry, I don't believe you. Because at the end of the day, we've been knowing about this. We've been hearing and shining a bright spotlight on this for years. This channel has been going for 3 years now. Right? 3 years, Nonpartisan Media has been up and running. And we have been talking about Epstein the whole 3 years. And we knew about it, I knew about it, before that even. The rumours about Epstein have been going back for 5-10 years. And you're going on about now, oh, yeah, we didn't really know. Bullshit, you didn't know. Bullshit.
I think there was anything wrong then.
Prince Andrew, Queen Elizabeth's second son and eighth in line to the British throne, telling BBC's Newsnight he has no regrets about his friendship with the businessman.
Now, still not. The reason being is that the people that I met and the opportunities that I was given to learn, either by him or because of him, were actually very useful.
In 2008, Epstein was convicted of soliciting prostitution from a...
Right, but holy shit, man. I don't regret my relationship with a sex offender because I got to meet some really nice people. What? I know Epstein was connected, but couldn't you have gone through and made those connections on your own? And you can see, at the moment, you can see how bad this looks, right? Like, it's really bad. But I do find it very, very interesting, and I tweeted this out earlier today, or late yesterday. The media is hyper-focusing on Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew is not the only person involved in this scandal. There are thousands of people involved with Jeffrey Epstein. Thousands. Epstein gave 1,000 names the day before he died. Don't think that's suspect or you're a conspiracy theorist. But he gave 1,000 names of clients. Prince Andrew, sure, he's involved. But the Prince of Saudi Arabia, I believe, was involved. Bill Clinton is involved. You know, all these other people, you know, these investment bankers, these kings of Wall Street, politicians. There's two Democratic senators over in America are involved with Epstein. But instead, they only want to talk about Prince Andrew. Why is it they're only talking about him? Why aren't they going through and talking about the other ones as well? To me, and I'm not defending Prince Andrew when I say that, right? But this guy is a scapegoat. He is someone that we can publicly lynch, they're thinking. We can publicly lynch him, and at the end of the day, once we've lynched him, everybody will hopefully move on. He's the sacrificial lamb that has been led to the slaughter because of the rich, the powerful, the elites, whatever you want to call them, don't want anybody else being dragged down because of this, right? There's a lot of people that have a lot to lose. Prince Andrew, he's actually not that involved, right? He met this girl 3 times. Bill Clinton flew on Epstein's plane 26 times. There are people that are more involved with Epstein than Prince Andrew, but the media doesn't care. Why is that? Because they're covering for them. They're covering for the rich, they're covering for the powerful, and this Prince Andrew is nothing more than a sacrificial lamb that they can lead to the slaughter, and hopefully everybody else will forget about it. Hopefully everybody will move on as long as we have someone that we can hang from town square. Yeah, like Deflon says, he's a scapegoat. He's the guy, he's the pinata. We can hoist him up, hang him in the middle of town square. Everybody comes along and gives it a good old beating. Hopefully something will fall out in the way of charges, and then everybody can forget all about it, right? That's what it is all about. It's, look at this guy, Prince Andrew. He's the one that he's involved. Don't worry about everybody else. Like, here, I will get you. So, Jeffrey Epstein. List of names. Let's just type that in, see if that comes up with anything. Gloria Allred needs to be disarmed. What did you say that for? I don't get why you're going on about Gloria Allred. But anyway, right. So here's a list of names. Now take these names as a grain of salt, right? Because obviously we will have to fact check them and everything like that. But this is what this website is saying. So, here. Names. Right, FBI editor says the list have ended up. You can also you can view the actual book here. Oh well, that'll be interesting. I can't actually click on it. It's a hyperlink that doesn't work anymore. Funny that. Now they're claiming Donald Trump. We've gone through that so many times. We can talk about that if guys really want. But they're claiming Donald Trump. Bill Clinton, which we know about because of the whole 26 times he flew on the plane. So... Right, among Donald Trump, Courtney Love, former Israeli Prime Minister Edgar Buck, the Uber lawyer Alan Dozowitz. Many have been identified by the butler as potential material witnesses to pedophilia from billionaire Jeffrey Epstein's crime against young girls, Gawker reported in 2015. The annotated copy of the address book, which also contains entries for Alec Baldwin, Ralph Fiennes, Griffin Dunne's, New York Post gossip Richard Johnson, Ted Kennedy, David Josh, filmmaker Andrew Jarrock, and all manner of other people. Like, there is so many people involved in this. Now, I don't think they want to keep saying Trump. I don't think Trump's involved, right? I think Trump realized what was going on, and that's when he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago, right? And that's obviously when we heard about that. I want a list. I want a complete list of everybody that was in Jeffrey Epstein's Black Book. See, every time I can find a link to the Black Book, it doesn't work. I'll have to have a look in this, eh? I'll have to look for it. George Michael is apparently listed. Ex-Prime Minister Tony Blair is recorded once. Like, Rolling Stones frontman Mick Jagger. Michael Bloomberg is in there, apparently. But look, at the end of the day, these are people that he had dealings with, right? Some of them might be just business dealings. So, I don't want to go... We'll see it in... Yeah, unfortunately, that's the problem. We will see it in about 50 years. You're exactly right. Like... And this is the thing that bugs me the most about this, right? You know, why should we have to wait 50 years to find out these names? I want the names now, damn it. Maybe I should do a video, a standalone video, putting out all the names of the people that are involved. What do you guys reckon? Wonder how long that video would stay up for. Now, obviously, criminal charges are expected this week against the Epstein guards, which were pretty much covered. Like I say, they're going to make scapegoats. I reckon these guards, they're going to be a scapegoat. There's Prince Andrew, he's a scapegoat. In the US, it'll be deemed national security and will go away. That's a good point too, actually. We will see the unredacted JFK files before we see the name list. Yeah. Yeah. True. Very true. But yeah, these guards, look, I'm not saying they're innocent, right? I'm not saying the guards didn't do anything wrong, right? Sure. Did I think they checked on Jeffrey Epstein? Probably not. But at the end of the day, there are bigger fish to fry, so to speak, than these prison guards. Why are we caring so much about these guards? And that's the thing that bugs me the most, is that there are people committed of far worse crimes, and at the end of the day, they seem to care more about charging the guards and charging Prince Andrew, or going after Prince Andrew, who, like I said, yes, Prince Andrew is a creep. Yes, Prince Andrew probably didn't do anything right. Didn't do anything wrong. Didn't do anything right. What Prince Andrew fucked up, right? Sure. But at the end of the day, there are people that are associated with Jeffrey Epstein who did a lot worse. Why is it they're dragging the Prince Andrew, obviously, and not worrying about Bill Clinton or whatever it may be that flew 26 times? You're going to tell me Bill Clinton didn't know that Jeffrey Epstein was having a whole bunch of underage girls on his plane while Bill Clinton was being flown around in the plane? You know, the one that was dubbed Lolita Express? Now, obviously, another interesting thing that we've since learnt is that this Maxwell, this female procurer, whatever it may be, for Jeffrey Epstein, and everybody's looking out for her, right? The internet is literally actively right now searching for her. We've also learned that now that she had a helicopter's license, which she obviously used to go through and to get Jeffrey, to get the victims onto the island, but also apparently a submarine license. Now, I'm wondering, was there anything listed under Jeffrey Epstein's assets that was a submarine? Was this what they were using to traffic some of the girls around the world? Why would she go and get a submarine license if it was irrelevant? So I would really want to know, did Jeffrey Epstein's assets, was there anything there that was to do with a submarine? You know, is there a submarine port or a seaport or something on the island that they might have used to, you know, like, is there caves or something, underwater caves or something that they might have used? I know it sounds a little Bond villainish, but you got to remember, these people were shipping girls around this island and around the world, right? They would have had to go to extreme lengths to make sure that these girls were not found. So, yeah, I want to know. Is there something under Jeffrey Epstein's assets that was like a submarine? And I'm going to look into that in my spare time. So if I end up committing suicide, investigate me then, please. But yeah, I'm going to have a look at that. I've got next week off work, guys, so I'm going to do a little bit of research into Jeffrey Epstein, into this whole submarine thing, and just see if there was anything that was under his assets and see what I can find. So we'll go from there. Because let me know your thoughts in the comment section below regarding Jeffrey Epstein. Do you think at the end of the day that the guards are being a scapegoat? Is Prince Andrew being a scapegoat? Do you think that we should be more focused on people that are actually involved? Like, for example, the Clintons, the Saudi prince, or whoever it may be. Do you think at the end of the day the mainstream media is going through and trying to make these scapegoats so people will move on? We can't investigate you because we don't know who you really are. But that's a very good point. Although yesterday, I will admit, I turned my webcam on for 5 seconds and I showed you my wall. So there's that, right? You do have a view of my wall, and weaponized autism 4chan might be able to figure that out. But anyway, all jokes aside. But yeah, there are people that are associated with this channel that do know me in person, just in case anything does happen. There's about 3 people, so yeah. But apart from that, guys, obviously at the end of the day, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. I saw your hand too. I know, my hand. I know. Like, yeah, I don't have any tattoos or anything, hey, because that might help you find me. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are in that comment section below. Alright, so let's jump on to the next story. Alright. So what's happening in Hong Kong should make us question the nature of our relationship with China. Oof. The protests in Hong Kong show that the world has changed. From the stability of rule of law and international cooperation, we are now in an era of antagonism, and many hoped belonged in the past. Instead of cooperation, it's competition for resources, the idea of values. Despite the violence, the protesters in Hong Kong are not the front line. Further west, the values of human rights and the rule of law are really being challenged by the Chinese Communist Party. The detention of perhaps millions of Muslims in Xinjiang and the re-education camps around Ujma, and the use of technology to identify and track, control a cutting-edge accuracy and the information age. I think at the end of the day, you're definitely not a hand model. Hey, that's a bit rough. What's wrong with my hand? But yeah, at the end of the day, as for China, I'm appalled as what's happened over in China. I think Hong Kong deserves a right for their freedom. I'm not surprised that China is being very heavily handed when it comes to this. But yeah, at the end of the day, I would say that yeah, is anybody surprised that China is authoritarian? It's literally a communist place. Like, you know, all these movies, these NBA stars, these movies like, you know, Marvel and all that, they can sit there and they can lie to themselves as much as they want that, you know, that China is a great place because of me money. But let's face facts. It's communist. No one should be shocked. But yeah, but apparently people are. Alright. So we're going to jump in and we're going to talk about Kanye West a little bit. So Kanye West and Dr. Dre announced Jesus is King Part 2. So two titans in the hip-hop are joining forces and been revealed that Kanye West and Dr. Dre have planned to release a collaborative project called Jesus is King Part 2. Kanye West is actually kind of tiny, isn't he? Like, Dre is standing down and leaning forward there, but he is obviously more forward than, yeah, but anyway. Surprised? We don't blame you. We've worked with many of the same artists over the years, like Jay-Z, Game, and Nas. The two have never released something together, although Kanye in particular has shown admiration for his legendary counterpart in the past. You're famous admitting he bit of the drums off explosive with a speed up sample to create JG's This Can't Be Life on the outro of The College Dropouts Last Call. So he's also praised Dr. Dre in the Rolling Stones piece 100 Greatest Artists. I first met Dre in December 2003. He asked me to produce a track for the game. At first, I was all starstruck, but within 30 minutes, I was begging him to mix my next album, Kanye recalled. He's the definition of true talent. Dre feels like God. Place him here on to make music. No matter what forces are aligned against him, it always ends up on the mountaintop. So, yeah, at the end of the day, I think it's a good thing. Obviously, this is not the only stuff we have for Kanye. Franklin Graham, proud Kanye West is letting God use him to spread the gospel of Jesus. We do actually have that video. We'll play that for you.
Let's bring in Franklin Graham, CEO of Samaritan's Purse and President Billy Graham Evangelistic Association. Franklin, good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
So what do you make of what's going on down with not only in Houston, but with Kanye West's movement?
Well, first of all, I always like it when God works in a person's life and changes them. And Kanye is a life that's been changed by the power of Almighty God through faith, and it was his faith in Jesus Christ. So I'm just thrilled with what's happened in his life. And this is what Christmas is all about. Christmas is about God's love, sending his son, Jesus Christ, to this earth to change our lives.
So yeah, at the end of the day, obviously, yeah. Look, at the end of the day, I don't think Kanye is pulling a shtick on anybody. I do think he is actually trying to be a good Christian, so to speak. And Kanye, protect your kids from being indoctrinated by Hollywood. So even Kanye is coming out and having shots at Hollywood. Indoctrinated by Hollywood and the media. So Kanye West says that parents need to protect their children from being indoctrinated into embracing lives of vapid meaningless by media and the entertainment industry. The music icon was speaking to the audience at Joel Osteen's church in Houston during one of his Sunday service events. He began by pointing out that many famous people are in the service to Satan and not God because they value money and power above all else. You start to feel like Satan is the most powerful, and you start to feel like your service to God in life means that you will not prosper, and the only way to prosper is to service to fame, says Kanye. So the devil stole all the good producers, the devil stole all the good magicians, the good artists, the good designers, all the good business people, and said you've got to come over and work with me, or work for me, he said. Hey Lee, how are you? Kanye reassures the audience that the shift was happening and that his conversion to Christianity is a major part of that shift. The Jesus is King singer then turned his attention to cultural degradation, telling the crowd, "We have our own daughters and we still have rapping about trying to hook up with someone else's daughter," which is very true. He went on to urge parents about the necessity of protecting your kids from indoctrination of the media and thousands of images that are fed to children by the age of 6 or 7. So at the end of the day, I would actually agree with what Kanye West has to say here. I think at the end of the day that yes, there is definitely a concern when it comes to Hollywood and the media. They are trying to convert children. They are trying to convert the children. I don't want to say to Satan or anything like that, but you know, like you just look at, like, for example, look at the porn industry, right? You look at the amount of girls that are going through and doing amateur porn or even doing full-time professional porn. You're going to tell me that that doesn't have some effect on the well-being or soul, if you want to say, for lack of a better word, of people? You know, how many of these female porn stars end up doing drugs and you know, killing themselves? Like, last year was a really bad year for porn stars. There was a lot that committed suicide. And at the end of the day, you're going to tell me that's not because of some of the professions that they work in? Some of the jobs that they do? I think you do, and this is all fed to fed to your kids. I understand exactly what he's saying. I really do think that parents need to I don't want to say censor or stop your children from watching things or anything like that. I don't want to shelter kids, but I think you do also need to have a chat to them about some of this indoctrination, about some of the stuff that is happening when it comes to Hollywood, the media, news, movies, TV shows. Like, for example, recently I signed up for Netflix. And the amount of propaganda that is in the Netflix series right now is insane. You can't watch a Netflix show without it going through and telling you about global warming, going on about, some leftist progressive agenda. I started watching the episode of Daybreakers. It's literally a flick about school kids who take over the world because all the parents turn into a bunch of zombies. And within the first 5 minutes of Daybreakers, they have gone on about global warming, Trump in the White House, and going on about how, just general progressive politics, climate change, all this sort of stuff. To the point where I was like, wow, the first 5 minutes, you've literally banged me over the head with 3 or 4 different progressive talking points. To the point where I turned it off. Because I was like, I don't want to lecture about climate change when I watch a frigging zombie flick. We're talking about frigging zombies, okay? Trust me, when the world turns into a bunch of zombies, climate change isn't a problem anymore. I have a hard time watching anything new on Netflix. Exactly. Same thing here, man. I really do. I was watching the series, the TV show, Travelers. And I binge watched the whole season 4, all the way through. 1, 2, 3, watched them all. Watched them all within about a week. Binge watched the crap out of that show. And it was really, really good show. Right up until the end, when they were no longer getting announced or getting renewed. The show started off with, so I don't want to ruin it too much, but spoilers alert here. A little bit of spoiler anyway. The show starts off with, that in the year the 21st century, back in roughly our time now, the Earth gets hit by a meteorite, which goes through and changes the future to the point where in the future civilization lives in domed cities covered on in a planet that is covered by an ice age because of just this impact from this asteroid just completely screwed. The asteroid hits the Earth. The government gets the material from this asteroid that goes through that makes these bombs that are devastating, or this new energy source that's devastating that they turn into a weapon. They use it against each other, makes an arms race, and it's a whole chain of events. Right? Now, that's how it starts with that show. But when you get into season 3, what show has been described? It's called Travelers. So when you get into season 3, at the end, right, he's doing his monologue where he's going on about how they're going to change the future. They're going to change the future by going back and changing the past again. And he goes on and they say to him, the government says to the government officials in the 20th century or 21st century, turn around and say, what caused this? What caused the events that caused the basic extinction of most of humanity? And he turned around and says climate change. No, it wasn't. It was the military making weapons and starting an arms race. You literally said this in season 1. But in season 3, it's changed to climate change. It's like you've literally just rewrote your law for your show within 3 years. And I can't help but wonder if there was some pressure for them to do that. Why change the law? Why change the law of your show when you were clearly talking about it in the first few episodes? You said it was an arms race. You said it was the asteroid crashing on the Earth that went through, that they used the materials from that to start making superducker, Yeah, but the problem is, they literally rewrote the history. They rewrote this. They changed it, and they went on about climate change. If you want to say the Ice Age was climate change, fine, but it was the governments nuking each other. It was the governments blowing each other up with these new weapons that caused the climate change. It was really weird. But anyway, I've been meaning to do a video talking about Netflix and their progressive idea, because every show I'm watching lately has had progressive politics. And it's absolutely insane. It's like on Netflix, it's part of the mandate to get on the show. If you want to be on Netflix, you've got to have a progressive point of view. Because otherwise, I don't know if they even let you on there now. It's just everybody is just pushing a progressive narrative. By the way, this is the one that Barack Obama and Michelle Obama is now affiliated and, quote, working with. So, no shock there. But, But that's what I say, he's talking about indoctrination by Hollywood and the media. How many of these kids growing up watching Netflix, for example, are going to sit there and think, oh yeah, climate change? Because they've been told this by every Netflix show that's on there at the moment. My wife always says I'm reading too much into it. I would say, Trip, to your wife, if I had a chance to talk to her, I would say that at the end of the day, the people that are making these shows, they're doing it deliberately. They want you to be like your wife and just pass it off, right? They are deliberately pushing a point of view. If you lie enough to people, they'll start believing it. Absolutely right. Yes, a deaf one is definitely right on that. You keep lying to people enough, some people will start to believe it. And especially, for example, if these people don't know any better. I confess to watching The Man in the High Castle. I often think about what would have happened if, in regards to pivotal points in history, as we all know it anyway. I haven't seen The Man in the High Castle, so I don't know what that one's about. But But this I'm saying, Lee, at the end of the day, there's no problem watching these shows because people like you, me, a Def One Trip, whoever it may be, we know, we can see these shows for what they are. But it's the impressionable children that are growing up watching Netflix at the moment, especially, because it's really popular with young people, that are going through and are being fed this progressive agenda. You know, Charlie's Angels, the movie that came out over the weekend, in case no one heard about it, it's absolutely a disaster. It has bombed so hard. It made $8 million over the weekend. Let me see if I can actually... Oh, my computer's getting really slow because I've got so many pages open. Charlie's Angels 2019 bomb. Alright, so... So here, Charlie's Angels is a box office bomb after taking just $3.1 million in its first 2 days of release. Now, I do think that that $3.1 million has actually gone up to $8 million after the weekend. There is another article here saying $11 million. Box office. Oh, sorry, that's a different movie. Sorry. So here, the reboot, which stars Kristen Stewart, Naomi Scott, and Elizabeth Banks, has been hailed a box office disaster after tanking in its opening days. According to Forbes, the movie took home just $3.5 million on Thursday and Friday in the US, including just $900,000 on day one. It's now, of course, to earn $8.2 million from its opening weekend, despite costing a big budget of $48 million to make. Now, Charlie's Angels is currently sitting third place behind Ford vs. Ferrari, which has grossed a whopping $30 million in last week's numbers. One movie midway worth $8.8 million. So, Ford vs. Ferrari, which is a remake, or not a remake, but a storytelling, or sort of like a story about Shelby, and Ford going after the Le Mans race, which is actually sounding really interesting. I love Shelby Cobra, the car. I think it's really, really cool. Carroll Shelby is always someone that I've always thought was an amazing guy when it came to making cars and stuff like that. I really am actually interested to go and see Ford versus Ferrari because I want to know about the backstory about Shelby Cobra, Carroll Shelby, Ford versus, Ferrari, that sort of rivalry, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I'll get to that in a sec, Trip. So at the end of the day, I'm actually really keen to go and see Ford versus Ferrari. In fact, I'm actually thinking about going and taking my dad and my brother and the three of us going and seeing it. Probably when he comes up for Christmas. But this new Charlie's Angels, it sucks. It really, really does. The Charlie's Angels, okay, this is going to sound really, really bad, but Charlie's Angels was popular because at the end of the day, it was women in tight clothing going around kicking butt. Right? It was the equivalent or female equivalent to Bond. Right? Guys watch Bond because Bond is cool. Every guy wants to be Bond. Every girl, most of them anyway, want to bed Bond, right? That's the Bond secret. Bond, every guy wants him, every girl wants him. Every guy wants to be him, sorry. Every girl wants him. Charlie's Angels is the opposite to that. Every guy wants to bang Charlie's Angels. Every girl wants to be Charlie's Angels. But in this one, they've gone through and they're like this Elizabeth Banks, who's the director of this catastrophe, has gone through and literally said that the girls won't be any in skin tight clothing. The girls won't be in any bikinis or anything like that because of women power, right? We want the women to be, not objectified. It's Charlie's Angels, for God's sake. How many people went and watched Aquaman, obviously females here, how many females went and watched Aquaman with their boyfriends because Jason Momoa is rocking a six-pack and looks like he could bench press you into the bed? How many girls sat there and thought, oh boy, those abs, hey? Jason Momoa looks like, oh wow, I want him to harpoon me, for example. But hey, objectifying a guy is fine. It's just when it's the other way around, it's all of a sudden it's taboo. Charlie's Angels did beat the Clintons in regards to their cancellation. Evening with the Clintons, they couldn't even get tickets away in Los Angeles for $2 each. Yeah, I heard even up in California. Yeah. I'm sorry, up in Canada, sorry. Even in Canada, they were trying to give the tickets away. But at the end of the day, look, Charlie's Angels, nobody wanted it. It's got... The director, Elizabeth Banks, has been quoted to say that she has snuck in female feminism propaganda. What part of this movie sounds like it might be interesting to watch? You can't go and have a perv at the girls because, we don't want to objectify the women. It's full of feminism propaganda. The Elizabeth Banks has gone through and obviously realised that this was going to tank at the box office and literally came out and said that if the movie sucks, it's because of men. They've since then gone through and claimed that the movie tanked because men didn't want to go and see female superheroes. Really? What about Wonder Woman? What about Dark Angel, right? One of my favourite TV shows to watch back in the 2000s, I think it was Dark Angel. She was a size 8, Jessica Alba, size 6, size 8, whatever size she was, tight little machine who could kick anybody's butt. Half the reason I watched that show was to pervert Jessica Alba. So, I'm sorry, but your whole women, nobody wants to go and see women when they're crime fighters or whatever. Let me show you guys. Copy image address. Here we go. Here. Duplicate. Just for anybody that doesn't know, that's Dark Angel. That's Jessica Alba out of Dark. That's how she's dressed most of the time in the show. Like, I wonder why this show was popular. It went for 5 seasons, mind you, right? So it got syndicated, as far as I know. 2 years. It only went for 2 years. Wow, it seemed like it went longer. But yeah. Oh no, hang on. That's the remake. Sorry. It's another show. Wow, there's been so many remakes of it. Let me see. So no, yeah, apparently it was only in production for 3 years, 2 seasons. Yeah, okay. Wow, I thought it went longer than that. But anyway, but yeah, one of my favourite TV shows to watch. Jessica Alba, Dark Angel. I tell you now, I wasn't watching it because of the storylines half the time. Well, maybe after the first 5 episodes. But the reason I checked it out was Jessica Rabbit running around looking like that. Who's that chunky, blonde, Aussie comedian actress? Pitch Perfect. Rebel Nelson, I think you're thinking of, maybe? Is Melissa McCarthy in Charlie's Angels? I think. I'm not quite sure, man. So it's Naomi Scott, Elizabeth Banks, Kirsten Stewart. They're the girls. So yeah, not quite sure. But yeah, I wonder why I watched Dark Angel. Have a guess. But yeah. But it's just like, yeah, and I like Kanye when he turns around and he says, you know, you're being indoctrinated by Hollywood. He's right. He really is right. You know, Charlie's Angels, bombing at the box office because people are sick of this progressive politics that's constantly pushed. You know, and it's not the only show that's done. Ghostbusters, 2016. Holy dooly. Do we need to talk about the progressive politics in that? And you know, like, yeah, I don't know. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. We probably should stop talking about that because otherwise I'll keep going for hours. Don't get me on a rant regarding that. So obviously we're talking about politics. Chick-fil-A will no longer fund organisations with an anti-LGBT tie. I wonder how this is going to go for them. Dark Angel seemed longer because you watched it in slow motion. No comment. So after courting controversy for years, the fast food chain Chick-fil-A will no longer fund 2 organisations that have historically opposed same-sex marriage. The Atlanta-based restaurant chain has come under fire from LGBTQ+ activists for reportedly donating millions of dollars to 2 Christian charities, the Salvation Army and the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. The company told ABC News Monday that it was refocusing its donation groups to center on hunger, homeless, and education beginning in the new year. This is not going to go well for Chick-fil-A. Like, Chick-fil-A just caved to the rage mob. They're about to learn the hard way that surrender never pays off. And I would have to agree with the Daily Caller here. At the end of the day, they're going to learn you are never going to be able to go through and to give in to these outrage mobs and to be able to actually go through and be able to ever satisfy them. These outrage mobs that go after these companies, that they are never satisfied. The LGBT community who is going after Chick-fil-A right now, they do not care if the Chick-fil-A stops giving money to the Salvation Army and this Christian group. All they care about is power. All they care about is outrage. And if they can go through and they can drag you on social media, they will. This is going to be the biggest and most costly, expensive lesson that Chick-fil-A is going to have to learn, because they're going to have to learn it the hard way. And I'll tell you now, that all the conservatives and everything who have been supporting them up until this now, they're going to lose support. They're going, yes, people will still go and buy their burgers because I've heard they're really, really nice. We don't have a Chick-fil-A over here in Australia, so I can't tell you. I've heard they're nice. But at the end of the day, there are people that are going to not buy their stuff just because the fact that of this, because they've caved, because they've given in to this LGBT community, this outrage, this public outrage. The people are going to be like, why would I support you? Never show a true weakness in the enemy. That is a very good quote, actually, Lee. You can't apologize to the left because then they smell blood. Exactly. And that's what's going to happen. Chick-fil-A will learn the hard way. That at the end of the day, yep. But I suppose we just have to, I don't know, if you have shares, maybe it's a good time to sell. But yeah, at the end of the day, good luck to them, I suppose. But I have a sneaking suspicion I know how this is going to all play out. It's part of the left's plan to divide and conquer. Yeah. They companies need to grow a set. And they need to sit there and say, no, we're not going to cave to this public pressure. And they need to stand their ground. I know it's easier said for me than and easier said than done, because obviously I don't have millions of employees or millions of dollars I could possibly lose. Yeah, I get that, right? But at the end of the day, yeah, it's not going to work. You're not going to come out of this smelling good. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Alright, so US reverses Jimmy Carter's Barack Obama's policy declaring Israel settlements illegal. So, Secretary of State Mark Pompeo announced Monday that the US had reversed the policy of President Jimmy Carter and Barack Obama, who declared Israel settlements in Judah and Samaria, the West Bank, illegal. Israel took over the region during the Six-Day War in June 967. After Jordan, ignoring the pleas from Israel to stay out of the unfolding war with Egypt and Syria, began sheltering Western Jerusalem. Israel's counterattack was vicious. Now, obviously, Breitbart here has an agenda. Although the area is completely described as occupied, Israel has long maintained the territory is actually disputed, since Jordan has no sovereign rights to the territory. If anything, Israel has superior legal claim resting on the Balfour Declaration on 1917 and the subsequent League of Nations approval of British mandate, which included provisioning for a Jewish national home in Palestine. Palestinians also claim the area for their future state. So you have about 2 or 3 different groups all fighting over it. To be honest, look, we know that Trump is pro-Israel when it comes to this. How do I say this without getting banned off YouTube? There are 2 sides that have been going at each other for a few years now. One of them wears a little hat on their head. The other makes their women wear little hats on their heads. And the rest of their body too while they're at it. Now, at the end of the day, they seem to be fighting a lot. And a lot of people over in the US, politicians and around the world, tend to be in one of those 2 camps. Trump is obviously pro-Israel, right? And to be honest, if I had a choice between them or the opposition, I would say probably pro-Israel as well. But I think they're both as bad as each other, to be honest. But at the end of the day, yeah, obviously Trump's pro-Israel. That's why he moved the embassy from the US. He moved it from wherever it was, I can't remember, to, I think it was Jordan. Right? Because he wants to piss off the Muslims, so to speak. Can't blame him. You know, they piss me off sometimes too. If I was in Australia, I would probably move my embassy to Jordan just to piss them off as well. Right? So, yeah. So I'm not surprised Trump has done this, to be honest. US says Israel settlements no longer considered illegal in dramatic shift. So yeah, at the end of the day, obviously they're going through and they're saying no, these settlements are no longer illegal. They're occupied. They're allowed to be there. I've had some very I've heard some very interesting theories about POTUS stances on things, particularly foreign relations. The easiest way, Lee, is he is pro-Israel. Obama was very much pro-Muslim. Right? That's like, for example, Obama would give all the aid, for example, to Iran and all those sort of places. Right? He gave money to them. He gave a lot of aid and stuff like that. Where Trump's the opposite. He's pro-Israel. That's why the alt-right hates Trump. I get their argument. I get why they don't like Trump. I'm not saying they're right or they're wrong. I get it though. But at the end of the day, like I said, if I had a choice between the two, I would probably take Israel over Palestine any day of the week. But regardless. Right, so we're going to have to talk about impeachment for a little bit, guys. I apologise, but let's just get it over and done with. Democrat Representative Maloney, this week's impeachment hearings will provide direct evidence of Trump committing bribery. Okay, well, we're at Wednesday in Australia already, Tuesday over in America. Let me know when you're planning on doing that. Monday, broadcast of CNN newsroom, Representative Sean Patrick Maloney, who's a Democrat from New York, said he believed this week's public impeachment hearings will provide direct evidence that President Donald Trump committed bribery. Sure you will. Malone says, let's be clear, we're going to have the direct evidence this week added to what's already been made public that the President of the United States used taxpayers-funded military assistance to pressure a foreign leader to help him in his re-election campaign. Apparently. To be honest, I don't believe it. To be honest, I don't think... Look, do I think Trump probably wished that Ukraine would investigate Biden? Sure. He probably thinks that Biden's son, Hunter, is as corrupt as they come. But at the end of the day, the fact of the matter is that Ukraine didn't even know that that aid was being held. They didn't know until something like 3 months after they claiming from the June 26th, I think it was, phone call, right? So if there's a quid pro quo, if supposedly the Trump administration is turning around and saying to the Ukraine Prime Minister, you can't have foreign aid until you go through and you investigate Biden, how did they not know that the aid would be withheld for 3 months? If I turn around and I say, for example, to Lee, right? Turn around and say, I'm saying to Lee here, I want you to investigate Jeffrey Epstein, for example, right? But unless you do it, I'm not going to give you the $1 trillion that I owe you, right? Once you investigate, then you're able to go through and to get that $1 million, that $1 trillion, for example, right? Lee, I'm not going to give you $1 trillion, so don't ask. But at the end of the day, right, say that, but then you would have to know that it's quid pro quo. You have to know that investigating Jeffrey Epstein, or in this case, Biden, for example, would have to be condition for you to receive that $1 trillion. So how do you not know that you're not getting that $1 trillion for 3 months if it's part of the condition of you investigating something? Right? You can't have a quid pro quo without one and the other, because otherwise it's just a quit or co. What, you know, it's half of the. It's just a. It's a quit. That's all it is. There's no pro quo. That's the thing that bugs me the most. Now, obviously, in Shift, US says... oh, hang on. That's an old story. I'm supposed to be over there. Anyway. So, McCormick are pretty confident that impeachment will not lead to the ouster of Trump. So Mitch McConnell told reporters Monday that he can't imagine a scenario under which President Trump would be removed from office. I have to agree with Mitch McConnell. So this Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, who's a Republican from KY, I'm not sure which state that is, told reporters Monday that he was confident impeachment of President Donald Trump would not lead to his removal from office. All foreign relations are quid pro quo, for that matter. Most relationships are too. True. DOJ says ex-FBI agent Peter Strzok committed security violations, used unsecured devices for work, or FBI work. So the Department of Justice released a scathing report Monday on former FBI agent Peter Strzok, best remembered as an original member of the Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigative team. The DOJ is accusing Strzok of various security violations and flagrantly unprofessional conduct in the documents filed Monday. That's probably because he was sleeping with the Department of Justice, I think it was. Strzok allegedly used the same unsecured personal devices for sensitive FBI work as he did to carry on an extramarital affair with the then FBI attorney, Lisa Page. Strzok's wife discovered the dolence of pressuring her husband's phone messages. Discovered the dolence after pressuring her husband's phone messages? I don't get that anyway. The DOJ released the documents in response to Strzok's lawsuit. He claims he was fired without a just cause and that his anti-Trump text should be protected as free speech. Strzok is demanding back pay and reinstatement in the FBI. Good luck with that. Look, at the end of the day, at least Lisa Page was cute. Somewhat cute. You can see why he was banging her. Bernstein, GOP senators deeply disturbed Trump might be serving interest of Putin. This is not an old argument. They're literally going on about Russiagate again. Everything old is new.
Tomorrow, and she says that this call that the president had with Ukraine's leader was, quote, unusual and inappropriate, end quote. But President Trump says Williams is a never-Trumper. However, it's what the vice president is not saying that is speaking volumes here. His office, who hired her, releasing a statement saying Williams is a State Department employee. Let's go now to CNN political analyst Carl Bernstein with more. And Carl, what do you make of that statement out of the office of the vice president?
That they're trying to distance themselves and keep distance between the vice president and somebody who is his key advisor on Russian and Ukrainian affairs, who is going to give testimony, apparently, that's going to be quite damaging if we're to believe the advance release of aspects of her testimony to the Trump White House and perhaps to Vice President Trump himself. But make no mistake, she is here.
Hang on, did he just say Vice President Trump?
To the Trump White House and perhaps to Vice President Trump himself.
Vice President Trump? Did I hear that right?
Of aspects of her testimony to the Trump White House and perhaps to Vice President Trump himself.
Trump's the president, dude, not the vice president. You do realize that, right? Like, yeah, maybe CNN should spend less time worrying about Russiagate and more time worrying about what senile old coots they're dragging up to put on their show. Because apparently this guy doesn't know that Trump is the president, not the vice president. But anyway. LTC Vladimir admits he spoke to IC official about Ukraine call. Shift interrupts immediately. This is interesting. So let's jump into this.
Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, did you discuss the July 25th phone call with anyone outside the White House on July 25th or the 26th? And if so, with whom?
Yes, I did. My core function is to coordinate U.S. government policy, interagency policy, and I spoke to 2 individuals with regards to providing some sort of readout of the call.
2 individuals that were not in the White House.
Not in the White House, cleared U.S. government officials with appropriate need to know.
And what agencies were these officials with?
Department of State, Deputy Assistant Secretary George Kent, who is responsible for the portfolio Eastern Europe, including Ukraine, and an individual from the office of an individual in the intelligence community.
Whoa. He just said then office of. Let's rewind that.
Community.
As you know, the intelligence community has 7.
George Kent, who is responsible for the portfolio Eastern Europe, including Ukraine, and an individual from the office of.
Office of. I wonder which office they're talking about there. We think we know who the whistleblower is, right? But he just said the office of. So, what office ofs exist in the US? So you got the Office of State Revenue, which I doubt it. Office Environment, I doubt that. Maybe you guys will be able to tell me. Who do you think it was? Office of? Let's get going.
An individual in the intelligence community.
As you know, the intelligence community has 17 different agencies. What agency was this individual from?
If I could interject here, we don't want to use these proceedings.
It's our time,
I know,
Mr. Chair.
but we need to protect the whistleblower.
Please stop.
I want to make sure that there's no effort to out the whistleblower through the use of these proceedings. If the witness has a good faith belief that this may reveal the identity of the whistleblower, that is not the purpose that we are here for, and I want to advise the witness accordingly.
Mr. Vindman, you testified in your deposition that you did not know the whistleblower.
Ranking member, it's Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, please.
Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, you testified in the deposition that you did not know who the whistleblower was, or is.
I do not know who the whistleblower is. That is.
So how is it possible for you to name these people and then out the whistleblower?
Per the advice of my counsel, I've been advised not to answer specific questions about members of the intelligence community.
Are you aware that this is the Intelligence Committee that's conducting an impeachment hearing?
Of course I am.
Wouldn't the appropriate place for you to come to testify would be the Intelligence Committee about someone within the intelligence community?
Ranking member, per the advice of my counsel and the instructions from the chairman, I've been advised not to provide any specifics on who I've spoken to inside the intelligence community.
To be honest, I think it's a very double standard when the Democrats or the left, for example, will go through and will try and find a whistleblower who leaks the ABC footage regarding the Jeffrey Epstein off-camera moment, and will literally fire someone who, by the way, is the wrong person, and go after, and literally, even after they've realized they fired the wrong one, even after, then start carrying on like the French Inquisition, investigating, pulling people into the office for interrogation, offering people money or rewards or whatever it was for people to turn on each other, to try and label or try and get this whistleblower kicked out of the ABC. They'll go all this trouble to find this whistleblower. But when it comes to the Trump administration, all of a sudden, oh no, we don't want to talk about that whistleblower. We want to protect that whistleblower. Because that's what we do, right? We protect whistleblowers here. If you want to protect whistleblowers, fine. Then you don't start a French Inquisition into who the ABC whistleblower is because you want to know, right? It seems like, I know it's obvious, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's like they're going through and they're picking what times they want to play by their rules when it's convenient with their politics. The ABC whistleblower is considered to be right-wing or helping further the agenda of the right? He gave he, she, whoever it was, gave the tape to Project Veritas. And while I love Project Veritas, let's face the facts, they are a right-leaning investigative service, right? Which is cool. They're allowed to be, right? So that the ABC sees this whistleblower in the ABC as further helping the right. But when it comes to this whistleblower here, it's like, well, he's with us. So therefore, we'll do whatever we can to protect him. And it's sort of like, you can't have that double standard. To be honest, I don't care really who this whistleblower is, because at the end of the day, I think that if someone is doing something wrong in the government, whether it be on the left or the right side, I think you should be able to blow the whistle. Edward Snowden, for example, right? Blow the whistle. As long as you're not doing it to help your political agenda, obviously it's a bit of a tricky one, but anyway. But it just seems like the Democrats here are going to extraordinary lengths to protect the whistleblower because he's on their side. But anyway. And by the way, I don't believe for a second that this guy, who's this Lieutenant Cole Anderson, I don't believe him for 1 second when he says he doesn't know who the whistleblower is. I think he knows very well who it is. Alexandria Venman refuses to say who he spoke to in Intelligence Committee about the July 25th call. We just literally watched that anyway. Democrats, New Star witness David Holmes was drinking wine and didn't take notes. So David Holmes, the political officer at the U.S. Embassy in Ukraine, who has emerged as the Democrats' New Star witness in the impeachment inquiry, admitted he had been drinking wine at the impeachment inquiry. Ooh. Drinking wine at the time he claimed to overhear the president on the phone. Sorry, I'll start again. Admitted to being drinking wine at the time he claimed to overhear the president on the phone. Holmes claimed to have overheard the conversation between the U.S. Ambassador Gordon Skoland and the President Donald Trump on a mobile phone on July 26th. How do you hear Donald Trump on a mobile phone? If Trump is calling someone, right, and he's talking to someone on the phone, how do you hear his side of the story? You only hear one side of the call. Unless you've got some really, really good bat hearing or something like that, chances are you're not hearing that other side of the phone call. So the text I had prepared remarks was leaked, and the media reported he had first-hand evidence that Trump cared about the investigations, although that was already known after Trump released the transcript of July 25th. Alexandria Valiant admits making up parts of Trump's call summary. Wow. Okay. There's no video link for this, but Lieutenant Cole Alexandria Valiant admitted he made up elements of President Donald Trump's call with Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky in an official summary. Prior to the call, Vinderman indicated a discussion about corruption, and the talking points provided to the president about Trump did not use them in the call. The summary Vladimir wrote after the call read, President Trump underscored the unwavering support of the United States for Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity within the international recognized borders and expressed his commitment to work together with the President-elect Zelensky and Ukraine people to implement reforms and strengthen democracy, increasing prosperity, and root out corruption. But Vladimir clarified during his testimony that President did not bring up the topic rooting out corruption during the phone call. So he lied. Vladimir confirms Ukraine felt no pressure to investigate. We do have that video, so we'll just play that for you now.
You said in your deposition that it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see the political benefits of the president's demands. For those of us who are not rocket scientists, can you explain what you meant by that?
So my understanding is that it was the connection to investigate into a political opponent was inappropriate and improper. I made that connection as soon as the president brought up the Biden investigation.
Colonel Vindman, you testified that the President Trump's request for a favor from President Zelensky would be considered as a demand to President Zelensky. After this call, did you ever hear from any Ukrainians, either in the United States or Ukraine, about any pressure that they felt to do these investigations that President Trump demanded?
Yeah, we're here, Lee. Yep. We're just listening to this.
Not that I can recall.
Did you have any discussions with officials at the embassy here, the Ukrainian embassy here in Washington, D.C.?
Yes, I did.
Did you discuss at all the demand for investigations with them?
I did not.
Did you discuss at all, at any point, their concerns about the hold on security assistance?
To the best of my recollection, in the August timeframe, the Ukrainian embassy started to become aware of the hold on security assistance, and they were asking if I had any comment on that or if I could substantiate that.
And that was before it became public, is that right?
Yes.
And what did you respond?
I believe I said that I don't recall, frankly. I don't recall what I said, but I believe it may have been something along the lines of, I'm not aware of it.
So there's that. Look, at the end of the day, this whole impeachment hearing is not looking good for the Democrats. It really is not. Pelosi blows off impeachment critics, says it's weak, dangerous to elect. Pelosi blows off impeachment critics, says it's weak, dangerous to let elections decide. So House Speaker Nancy Pelosi doubled down on impeachment Monday, telling her Democratic colleagues in a memo that it was weak and dangerous to back off and let the American people decide in 2020. Of course she's going to say that. Because at the end of the day, the fact is that she wants impeached. They know they're not going to win 2020. They know it. Ben Carson slams Maxine Waters. Basic manners elude you. House and Urban Development Security Secretary Ben Carson accuses House Financial Services Chairwoman Maxine Waters, a Democrat, obviously from California, on hypocrisy on homeless today in blistering letter, charging her with lacking the basic manners. My mother always taught me that people shouldn't throw rocks, especially when they live in glass houses. Carson wrote, according to a copy of the letter obtained by Politico, because the wise lesson, I was a little surprised to read your hostile letter to President Trump regarding the record number of homeless Americans in California, particularly in your district. He does have a good point there. Senator Ron Johnson just exposed a secret sleeper cell working in the executive branch against the president. Oh yeah, no worries, Lee. Yeah, it's all good. I think you're lagging a bit behind too. Make sure you've got up to date on the live. Media offsite and plotting against President Trump. Senator Johnson later spoke with Bill Hammer on the newsroom about the shocking revelation. So, So at the end of the day, Senator Johnson said there is an indication that there is a number of high level of FBI's holding off-site meetings on how to bring down the president. No worries, Trip. All good, man. Senator Johnson went on to say that he would have not speak out about his source or sources. Johnson sat on the record committee and spoke with governor whistleblowers. Senator Johnson, I think there's indications a number of high-level FBI officials holding secret meetings off-site. Bill says, is that half a dozen? Senator Johnson, again, I can't really put a number on it right now. More than just Strzok and Page, but understood Strzok and Page were very high level within the FBI. I believe, yes, there are people literally in the deep state who are trying to get rid of the Trump. Trying to get rid of the president. I really do. I think they're not only FBI, they're Department of Justice, they're CIA, they're a wide range of partisans who can't handle the fact that their team lost. So, yeah. Alright, so we're going to change it. We're going to get off this impeachment now because I'm sick of talking about it, and that's pretty much all the news for the day so far. But, wow, what is happening in the UK? So we're going to try and shoot through these as fast as we can, just because obviously we're being on for 2 hours already. But yeah, climate change. Firms failing to tackle crisis will be delisted from stock exchange, Labour says. Companies that fail to act on the climate change, they will be caused to axe from the stock exchange under Radical Labour's plans. John McDonnell, the shadow councillor, pledged his government would ensure firms are pulling their weight to tackle the existential threat to the planet, and warned for those companies not taking adequate steps under Labour will be delisted from the London Stock Exchange. Vowing to rewrite the rules of economy to benefit workers, Mr. McDowell also insisted curbing the climate crisis would be Labour's overriding priority. Words. If it wins the general election, which is when exactly? The corporate government code will be beefed up to set out a minimum standard of listing relevant to evidence the action being taken to tackle climate change. This is sounding like at the end of the day that they're going to start bringing in some sort of scoring or credit score for businesses. That's scary. Scary that you can go through and delist a company off the exchange just because at the end of the day you don't think they're doing enough to save the planet for your climate change beliefs. It is communism. It is. It's authoritarian. How are people that support London okay with this? And it's weird because I haven't heard anybody else talking about this at the moment yet. What the hell? You can't go through and delist a company off the stock exchange because you don't like the fact they're not talking about climate change. That is such a dangerous slope. Imagine if a company went through, imagine Trump going through and removing Planned Parenthood from the stock exchange. I don't know if they are on there, but just say, for example, removing Planned Parenthood off the stock exchange because he doesn't like their abortion stance. Or imagine Trump, for example, going through and removing Facebook and, for example, Twitter from the American Stock Exchange because he doesn't like them clamping down on freedom of speech. The left have to learn that when you start making a pretense for this sort of stuff, it's not always going to be in your favor. There is a very real possibility those same rules and legislation that you are bringing in right now will be used against you at some point in time in the future. Imagine in London, removing Facebook from the London Stock Exchange because Facebook's not taking an adequate measure to promote freedom of speech. You imagine how much the left would lose their shit over that. It's a private company. It can do whatever it wants, is the catchphrase that you keep hearing screaming from the left every time. Every time they go on about Facebook or whatever it is, censoring conservatives or censoring people. It's a private platform. It's a private company. Okay. So what about London's private companies that have been delisted from the London Stock Exchange because of, for example, they're not doing... But it's a private company! Oh, that's different, apparently. Worldwide revolution is brewing, a return to more traditional values. I hope so, Lee. I really, really do. I really do hope. I really hope London doesn't, the UK doesn't get sucked into this. I hope Labour doesn't win. I really do. But here's the question: are the Liberals any better? Are the Tories over in the UK any better, or is it the same Hydra with a different head? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Alright, it's official. Dems Shanae Oates outs 32-year Republican in Mississippi House. Shania Yates, a 38-year-old Jackson area attorney, has ousted Billy Denley, a top Republican in the Mississippi House of Representatives, who first won his seat in 1987 when Yates was just 6 years old. The Democrat political newcomer beat the longtime House District 64 incumbent by about 51 to 49. That's a pretty slow margin. That's only 2%. And Henders County Election Commission confirmed to Jackson Free Press after finishing counting provisional ballots on Monday. So, yeah, that's kind of sad, I suppose. Moving along. Senior Trump admin official. Oh, I lost my title. Senior Trump admin official Ming Chang resigns after embellishing resume. Ming Chang resigned Monday, 6 days after the NBC News report about her resume inflation and hours after NBC asked her about her newly discovered false claims. So, senior Trump administration official Ming Chang resigned from her job at the State Department 2.5 hours after NBC went to speak to her and ask about her newly discovered false claims that she had made about her charity work. So, look, if she lied on her resume, I don't have a problem with them. Yeah. Shouldn't lie on your resume, I suppose. Grand Hill Valley State University kills Pledge of Allegiance tradition. Students at Granville State University in Michigan, University in Michigan, voted last week to stop reciting the Pledge of Allegiance at student government meetings over concerns that it's discriminatory and oppressive. This is the stuff they're teaching kids at universities. That the Pledge of Allegiance is supposedly discriminatory and oppressive. Wow. Just wow. Moving along. New York jailbreak law. New York jailbreak law to free suspected accuser of manslaughter, negligent homicide, and child sex crimes. New York's latest criminal justice reform plan will release suspected accused of second-degree manslaughter, criminal negligent homicide, child sex crimes, and making threats of terrorism without even having to post bail. Yeah, patriotism is what? That's a good trip. Yeah, that's a good thing, isn't it? Yeah. Lower Michigan is full of lefties. Couldn't have guessed that one, Trip. But, you know, at the end of the day, that this is a typical thing that's happening, for example, over in the US and in universities, and in Australia, and in the UK. Universities are communist havens at the moment. They really, really are. They're progressive nightmares. So, armed citizens stopped Oklahoma Walmart shooter. So we've covered this already, but just very quickly. A report by the Daily Mail indicates that Monday's shooting outside a Decatur, Oklahoma Walmart was cut short by an armed citizen who confronted the gunman. Breitbart News reported that 3 deaths resulted of the shooting outside the Walmart around 10 a.m. 2 individuals were fatally shot while sitting in the car. Third person died outside the vehicle when police arrived. The Daily Mail reported that the deceased individual outside the car was the gunman and that he allegedly took his life after being confronted. The gunman was wearing all black, allegedly shot multiple rounds into the car. Daily Beast reported the witness indicated the suspect shot 2 people inside the car. So, I don't know how they go on to say that he supposedly stopped Oklahoma shooter. Yeah, I suppose you could say he stopped him. I suppose, yeah. And the last story for the day. We got through those last ones pretty quick. Alright, so the last story for the day. Biden slips up, says America can handle 8 years of Donald Trump. Oh, boy. Former Vice President Joe Biden accidentally said Sunday that President Donald Trump has been in office for 8 years. We can handle with a lot of difficulty 8 years of Donald Trump, Biden said. Excuse me, 4 years of Donald Trump, the former Vice President said before making the sign of the cross over himself as the audience laughed. So, we do actually have facepalm. Oh, Freudian slip, yeah. Let's watch this.
It's different than anyone that any of you have voted in, not because I'm running, but because of the nature of what's at stake. You know, we can handle with a lot of difficulty 8 years of Donald Trump, but if we have, 4 years of Donald Trump, but if we let it happen.
I'm proud to say I was one of the first people to support Harry for being the majority leader, and before that,
Did he say minority leader?
Support Harry for being the majority.
The minority leader. Holy, I'm guessing that guy's a minority, right? Oh boy.
Leader, and before that, the whip in the Democratic House, the Democratic Senate. It would put 720 million women back in the workforce. It would increase the GDP, to sound like a wonk here, by about 0.8%. Increase the GDP workforce. It would put 720 million million women back in the workforce.
What? Yeah, there's only 330 million people in the US. How the hell are you going to put 700 million people into the bloody workforce if there's only 330 in your country, you knob?
It would increase the GDP, to sound like a wonk here, by about 0.8%. It would grow the economy.
Friend, and she's a friend. She's been my friend in and out of public life. I want to be clear. I'm not going nuts.
We choose truth
Are you sure about that, Joe Biden? Are you sure you're not going nuts?
over facts.
When Bobby Kennedy and Dr. King had been assassinated in the 70s, I want to thank Rich Fitzgerald, the county executive.
He's getting so much wrong in this.
Here, and all my time in public life, from since I've gotten involved, the country wasn't built by Wall Street bankers, CEOs, and hedge fund managers. If the enterprise hit hard times, everybody took a hit. Union workers, the UAW, took incredible cuts in their future and their pensions and the left to get GM working. They also got that last year and try to cut wages or freeze wages for their people. Right today, the same is happening in big hospitals.
So that's an interesting thing. Trip says in chat, obviously by bringing in millions of migrants. It is interesting to me that whenever a Republican is in power, there is a huge influx of migrants coming into the US. When Bush was in power, Bush Jr., and don't get me wrong, I think he was one of the worst presidents, right? I hated Bush. When Bush was in power, right before Obama took office, record numbers of migrants flooding into the US. It's like it's a voting strategy. What do you guys reckon? But anyway. Alright guys, so that's basically going to be the show for the day. Yeah, Joe Biden's obviously going nuts. Yeah, I think that's a safe bet. But guys, obviously thanks everybody who's obviously been in here tonight. We've been going for over 2 hours. It doesn't seem like it, but it really does. 2 hours and 18 minutes. Thank you very much, F1. But yeah, guys, obviously we'll be back tomorrow, which will be Thursday and Friday. And then I won't be doing a show on Fridays on your Friday, which is my Saturday anymore, because there's another show that I'm currently being on as well. It's for the gaming channel. But I also want to do the shows on Sunday. So I'm going to reschedule Friday shows to Sunday shows. Because that way you still get your 5 shows a week, and that way we can cover the weekend. So to be your Sunday or my Monday, we'll cover Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Time traveler. Yes! I can travel time. Woohoo! But yeah, apart from that, guys, we'll be back tomorrow at the same time as usual, which is roughly about 5 a.m. my time. It is, to give you an idea, it's 7:35 now, so just minus 2.5 hours, and you know when the show starts. Apart from that, guys, obviously the video's been helpful. Please smack that like button. If you're new to the channel, welcome and subscribe. Big shout out to everybody who has been here the whole night. Lee, Deflon, Trip. Who else am I missing? I feel like I'm missing somebody. I feel like I'm missing someone. But big shout out to all the guys that hang out in chat. And obviously, guys, we'll be back tomorrow. Apart from that, guys, thanks everybody. We will see you guys soon. And I've got to upload these videos now to Nonpartisan. Because, yeah, that's a thing. But have a great night. Enjoy. We'll see you tomorrow.